Welcome back, everyone, to a very special edition of BallyDung Wrestling 24/7. I am the Rugged Rebel, and this is a matchup that was from Halloween Hell 2014, but fans did not get to see it. It was a pulled matchup, as here comes the Macho Man Randy Savage, who is going to be a guest referee for this contest. Of course, some things happened with matches having to be pulled due to file sizes and such from Halloween Hell 2014, and we apologize to the fans for that, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, these things, time constraints and everything else, but now the fans get to see it. BallyDung Wrestling always tries to make sure that the fans get what they want. And speaking of what they want, I gave RD a shot at the light heavyweight championship at Halloween Hell, and I know that Claire still might be upset with me for giving out a title shot because she somewhat did not approve of it, but you know what? Fact of the matter is, I'm still the light heavyweight champion, and this matchup I think will be quite an interesting one because Macho Man Randy Savage being the special guest referee might be a little bit difficult for him to be impartial in this matchup, considering Ric Flair, a longtime nemesis of his in the ring, is actually competing here tonight. But nonetheless, Randy Savage was named as the special guest referee, and with all these huge, big names coming back for this event is huge. Of course, Macho Man Randy Savage back in his day was one of the best in the business. Arguably, some people like him over Hulk Hogan, and other stars like the Ultimate Warrior were big names. It's just kind of odd that some of those superstars are no longer among us, but at least Macho Man Randy Savage, in a digital form at least, can participate in this BallyDung matchup, as here comes Big Poppa Pump Scott Steiner, and he's wearing a replica world title. Of course, some will remember Scott Steiner at one time was WCW champion, and he actually was one of the last WCW champions. He appeared on the final edition of Nitro as champion, and ended up facing the United States champion Booker T. And for those that haven't seen the matchup, there's a network you can go to that you can pay $9.99 a month and probably see it. I don't know if it's up yet, but of course they claim on this network that you can see anything. But on BallyDung Wrestling, you can mostly see everything that BallyDung Wrestling has done, except there are certain videos that we're not allowed to show the public because of certain decency things, and this Lamar Smith guy trying to shut down BallyDung, all of this other stuff, as Ric Flair starting off strong on Big Poppa Pump. It's Poppa Pump now. Scott Steiner showing that strength advantage that he has. These two are just nailing each other as, Big Poppa Pump slams the face of Ric Flair into the mat as Macho Man Randy Savage just looks on. I guess he's trying to be impartial as he's clapping a little bit for Ric Flair, but I don't know if Macho Man Randy Savage has the chance. I would wonder if he might want to attack Ric Flair, because Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage, part of their rivalry, I think, was over Miss Elizabeth at the time, and then I believe when Savage went to, as Savage up on the top rope, and he hit Big Poppa Pump Scott Steiner with that that move off the top rope, and Big Poppa Pump seems to be fired up after that, as Ric Flair seems to be in a lot of trouble here. Of course, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, has a moniker of having the most world titles, and there's a little bit of controversy as to how many championships Ric Flair actually holds, because some people say it was 16. Some people say 17. Some people say there were even more that were not counted due to, controversy, etc. So, and that seems to be an interesting record that Ric Flair has had that distinction of being the longest reigning, or the person with the most title reigns for a long time, but I don't know if it's how many times you won the title or the longevity. I think a longevity of the reign is actually something that a champion should be somewhat measured on. Because, anybody can win the belt, but as they say, it's harder to retain the title than it is to win it. As it looks like Savage just took down Ric Flair, and it looks that Savage, I think, was starting to maybe show his true colors in this matchup, basically trying to cost Ric Flair this huge matchup, and Ric Flair was in that lock a little bit there, that chin lock by Scott Steiner, and Macho Man Randy Savage checking, but Ric Flair refuses to give in here, as now Big Poppa Pump with a suplex, and now a cover, hooks the leg, 1-0, and a kick out there by Ric Flair, and Ric Flair's trying to put up a valiant effort here, but Big Poppa Pump might be a little bit too strong for Ric Flair in a matchup like this. They don't call him Freakzilla for nothing, and now wait a second, that chinlock again, and Macho Man calls for the bell. That is it. Big Poppa Pump picks up a big victory here in this matchup that was pulled from Halloween Hell 2014. And he'll now get to celebrate this victory. And now also his fans are probably going to be pleased, but you gotta see there's a little bit of controversy because Macho Man Randy Savage isn't the most impartial official, I believe, when it comes to Ric Flair. Scott Steiner flexing and celebrating this big victory, and he just defeated a true legendary competitor. And of course Scott Steiner, I believe he's somewhat semi-retired now, but look at the big arms on Scott Steiner. Big Poppa Pump shows why he is a dominant force.